Greetings, everyone. This is Grandmaster Amin Ra. A little bit of my background before I get into my points. Yeah, so I was born in Los Angeles, California in 1958. I was the first in my family born in California as they migrated from Ohio. I went to Los Angeles High School and graduated with above average grades, and went to City College, and then I enrolled in a program, an urban league program that allowed blacks to learn computers because they were, and then give them jobs. And I was one of the top in my class to graduate and was given a job at Rockwell International, where I was given top security clearance at the age of 18. We worked on such projects like the B-1 bomber and the space shuttle. I left that employment after 4 years to take up what I thought was my dream job as working in LAPD, and immediately I applied. Uh, I had some trouble with parking. I mean, tickets, traffic tickets. I had a race car and I had 20 traffic tickets, so I had to go 1 year without a traffic ticket in order to continue my background process. I was able to do that. When I got into the academy, I was targeted by some white training officers who really racism me out of the academy in my seventh week. Told me I can reapply, and in 6 months. And when I tried to reapply and start fresh, I was told that was a lie. What they had told me was a lie, and I had to restart the process from the beginning. Keep in mind, I was in the police academy at the time. I had already went into the police academy, but they told me I had to reapply from scratch, which I did. And then I went through all the process again. And when I was to get my class that evening, I was to be certified for the next academy class. Two detectives came in, called me outside, and told me you can't reapply for 4 years. I think it was 4 years. And when I asked them why, and why would they wait till the time when I went through all of this process to pull me out at the last minute, they said they had no answer. And basically, I came to realize that I was being targeted by someone in LAPD, and they were playing with me to make me go through the whole process and then turn around. And at the very day when I'm supposed to get my academy class the second time, uh, they sent two detectives to pull me out. I realized that the LAPD was not what I thought it was. I tried to apply for other police departments, and I was turned down without even being given a chance to, uh, really appeal. So I left that course in my life, which I had majored in criminal justice in college, in anticipation for a job in law enforcement, and basically they killed that. But since I had already had work experience working in computers, and at that time computers was booming, I quickly found a job paying even more than what I would have been making as a police officer, in better hours, and safer. And so somebody was really looking out for me, and from there, I basically started my family, and then failed in that relationship. And right at that point, I ran across Ashwar Kwesi, and he opened up my eyes in one Saturday afternoon, and I really thank him for that. Even though it was a great curse to be woken from your sleep, and so I became Black Conscious in 1986, and then by January 1st, 1987, I had changed my name, and decided that I would move to Africa. I worked in corporate America, and that was very difficult being Black conscious. And quickly, my white supervisors could to tell that I was different, and they been campaigned to ruin me in the computer field. Um, after about so many years, I got frustrated with the continual bombardment. Even though I was doing a fantastic job, I was always being targeted with silly things. And I walked off the job one day. I just walked off the job. I left the corporate job, just went to my locker, cleaned it out, left, and never went back. They called me back about a week or two later. They told me come to personnel. I went to personnel. They were giving me my last check, which I was surprised. I didn't even know I was going to get that bonus check. But anyway, there was like hush money because they thought that I had quit because I was going to sue them. And they were really nervous, but they were happy when I told them me I just wanted to, you know, be on my own and start my own, concentrate on my small business, which was martial arts. So went to martial arts full-time business owner, grew the business, 10 years of success. Went from the smallest martial arts school in South Central to the largest martial arts school with 108 active members coming through the doors every month. But there was something that still had to be done, which was my trip to Africa. So in 1996, I got an opportunity, or I got a calling that said this is the time, and I decided to hand over the business to a colleague of mine, and then travel to Africa for 3 months and see what it was all about. Once I got there, I was totally surprised that Africa was nothing like what they had told us about, and I proceeded to look around for what their martial art program was about. I found that there was no modern martial art whatsoever in the country. I started showing some few movements to some individuals, and the next thing you know, I was teaching full time at 3 locations, including one of the major universities in the country in the middle of the city. Um, my my classes grew full crowds each time. I created a paper class system, and students really loved that. So they could pay just their money for that day, and then come the next day, or not come, not pay. So that really helped out. Then I expanded it with some of the new black belts that I had promoted, and created a federation. And that federation was created in 1999, and it's still there today. The oldest running martial art organization, the longest running martial art organization in Kenya. It's lasted longer than any karate organization or any taekwondo organization active today. I know they had some other ones in Mombasa that had a long running relation, but we're one of the longest running non-traditional martial arts organizations that's been going on. So from there, I proceeded to try to start a family. I failed. I tried again. I failed. I tried again, and I failed, and I tried again, and I retried again and failed. And so I decided that I would take some time for myself and take a 4 month hiatus, just living by myself and going through my life and seeing, how I can make improvements. And I came across an idea of, I was taught about the type of woman you want in your life, you should write all those attributes down, which I had never done. And so I wrote them all down, looked at them, changed them around, and then within 2 months, I had found that exact same woman that I wrote on the paper. She had basically all of the qualities that I wanted. And we started a family. We're still together to this day with 3 lovely children. So this is my story. I think I'm leaving a big chunk out, but I didn't want to make a long video so people can get to know who I am. I live in Mombasa, Kenya now. I'm in my 22nd year outside the United States, and it's been wonderful all the way through. My children are free from racism, free from oppression, free from economic deprivation, and free from being a minority in a country, which I think is crazy. I think that when I see my children playing and having fun outside, they have no care in the world. And my son here, also who is staying with us, is now uh, learning about the business I've created, and I never have to have that talk with him about you're a minority in a strange land somewhere. You know, I'm gonna die here. And when I was in the United States, I considered myself an African, not an African American, and that opened me up to culture that was beyond slavery. And I think that's what we have to do in the United States: separate those people that are Negroes that are planning on spending the rest of their life in America. That's their choice. It's okay. I don't have a problem with that. But there are some individuals who have a great need and they're getting a calling to come to back to the motherland. And I think that it's very difficult to get them. And this is what I want to give them. I'm a living example of what would happen if we came back to Africa and lived. And I'm not somebody who is considering himself an African American in Africa. No, I'm an African, and this is my home, and I'm gonna fight for this place. See, so this is the kind of mentality that we need to have. We get a clear understanding of what's going on in the world. The United States is in a lot of problems, and as many problems as she has, the problems multiply when you're black in it. And when you're a black man in America, it is even worse. So I lived it for 37 years in the United States. I still see it going on today. I'm very active in social media, and I have friends in the United States who I talk to on a regular basis. And so I'm not far from what goes on. If it happens in New York, it doesn't matter if you're in Los Angeles or if you're in Kenya, you still get the news. And you can call somebody and find out what has happened. Nobody lives in the United States. This is for those people who tell me, I mean, you're in Africa, you should leave. You should leave. You don't know what's going on in the United States. It's such nonsense. You know, if something happens to Bill Cosby, who am I even less affected because I'm in Kenya? I can be just as well informed today because of social media as any black person in the United States. And this is the point. So we need to get away from that as far as those people that can see that they're having a lot of frustration, they have a lot of economic problems in the United States. The key is that the only solution is for you to move to Africa. That would eliminate 99% of your problems. And if you're a productive person, you can have a much better life being part of a minority and raising a family in Africa than you would ever have doing that in the United States. So this is basically a video about myself, and I hope it's people that wanted to know about me, they can ask me questions, and I'd be glad to answer them. Thank you.